Okay, good evening, everybody. So I'm so excited for this Zoom minus, 3 minutes of technical difficulties, and hopefully it doesn't go out again. I don't know what is going on. Zoom probably did another update or something. But I'm so excited for this, and we titled the Zoom Catching Vision because obviously, and the way I kind of like to think about it, and I'm going to introduce Gabby here in just a minute, but the way I like to think about it is, if you are going to go anywhere in life, right? If you're driving your car, if you're doing all the things, you have to kind of know an idea of where you're going, right? You have to have that vision of like, okay, and I know sometimes we're guilty of, oh, I'm going to go this place and we stop at 30,000 stores. But overall, most of the time when you get in your car, it's not just like, let me just drive random and see what happens. It's like you have one spot in mind initially, and then sometimes you might stop along the way. So same thing with vision. And it's so important, especially, when you are a brand new distributor. And I know a lot of you guys that within the last couple of weeks, or maybe you're watching this recording, it's important to kind of just know where you're going. And so if you joined us last week, we talked a lot about just the things to do to get there. But it's like, how in the heck do you decide? And so, Gabby, I'm going to start off with you introducing yourself, and then we'll jump into some of the content.
Awesome. Thanks, Erin. Hi, guys. My name is Gabby. I'm a triple diamond leader with It Works. I've been here. Oh my gosh, this is literally the longest job I've ever had for a little bit over 2.5 years. And the reason why I got started is because I was just broke. I was living paycheck to paycheck. I had no idea how I was going to get ahead. I didn't know how people adulted and like paid for things. And so I just decided to take a leap of faith and do something that I've never done before. And that's exactly what you guys are doing. And we've all started exactly where you're at. And I wish that we had all of these trainings all of the time when I first joined. And so you guys being on here is just the first step of taking this seriously, really getting laser focused, like Erin said, of where you're going and how you're going to get there and what is at the end of the road of what you're running towards and why you're going to stay motivated. So I'm super excited to be here and help you guys cast that vision because it's so important.
I love it. Well, and two, I'm Erin. So for those of you that don't know me, I've been doing this for 6 years now. And so I'm just which is crazy. I'm like, oh my God, this is a lot, literally, like I've been in this business way longer than I've even been a nurse, like, and worked on the floor. So that's like the first time that, it's actually flipped. And I'm like, dang, this is crazy. So I want you guys to, kind of challenge yourself tonight, because when I first got started, I remember Alyssa, my enroller, said to me, she's like, Erin, and even Mike Patillo, our chief sales officer, CSO. I don't think they call him that, but you guys know what I'm talking about. So he was like, you have to commit to give us a year and we'll change your life. And I was like, okay, like, and I want you guys to think about it this perspective. Most of us probably join this business because we want that quick fix, right? We want to start making that money quickly. We're not really seeing like the long-term potential. We're not seeing like, oh my gosh, like this could be something. I didn't know it could be my full-time job until I went to an event and saw other people that were on stage like me. I just thought, hey, I need $500 extra. Here's the solution. Let me start working on that so I can start fixing that problem. And so I want you guys to think about this in the exact same way. So this isn't going to just be your quick fix overnight. It's going to be a process. It's going to be a journey. And so, like I said, if you are just getting started, make sure that you're committing to at least a year. Now, I'm not saying you're probably like, what, a year? Like, that's great. No, I promise you, when you do the things every single day, you're going to do all the things, but I promise you that work is going to pay off every single day. When you get to that year point, you're going to be like, what in the world? This is crazy. It's absolutely the biggest blessing. So I want you to just go ahead and commit that to yourself tonight. Commit that to your business, that, even if you've been in a little bit, commit it and just say, you know what? Like, maybe I didn't go all in, my first little bit, but I'm committing to this for a year. I'm committing to just go ham and do all the things and focus on that, because that's really what it is. So let's talk about like what vision means to you, Gabby, because again, like you said, this is the longest you've been in something. And so obviously it's not just like you started and then you're like, what I do. It's like you have to kind of know where you're going, right?
Yes, absolutely. And you guys, it did take some time for me to really understand what vision is, because it's going to change. So like when I joined, vision for me was making sure that I was able to pay for gas, groceries, and to get my nails done, like $250. And now my vision after 2.5 years later and becoming a VIP with the company and seeing some serious life-changing money, my vision is bigger and broader and larger. But I want you guys to really think about like why you joined. And I just put that in the chat, like why, how long have you been in the business and why did you join? Because that right now is going to be your vision. And so I want you guys to get laser focused on the why behind it. Okay. And the reason why we want you to get focused on your why is because this is an additional thing that you're adding to your plate, right? We're all living in this crazy world. We have a full plate already, and you guys are warriors. I commend everybody that ever adds something else to their already busy schedule. And it's going to be an addition. And so you're going to have that extra fuel and that extra just, I hate to use the word motivation because people use it and it's like, oh, I'm motivated today, I'm not motivated tomorrow. You have to have just that drive and that want to do this business every single day. And if you have that thing in the back of your mind every day that you're doing this, it'll just turn you into autopilot because you have those dreams and you have those goals. So that's why vision is so important.
Yeah. Well, and two, I mean, if you think about it, if you are just, you start something, like you have to kind of know the steps. Like, that, hey, if you're going to build, a piece of furniture, right? You get out your little booklet that comes with the instructions, and sometimes it doesn't always make sense, but because okay, certain pieces make sense right here, but I'm double checking with the instructions. And so you're going to make sure that you're doing all those things. You're putting in the pieces. That way at the end result, when you've taken all those pieces and you look at it, you're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. And so the important thing with this too, like Gabby said, is not only just knowing that like surface level why, but I always challenge everybody to ask yourself why 5 times. You need to dig deep, because you want that thing that's going to push you out of bed. It's not going to be easy. It wasn't easy for me. When I got started, I already had to be at work at 6 a.m. I already had to get up at 4:30. So it wasn't like, oh, I needed to get up and do it. I was just, I was listening to training. So I was getting ready. I was listening to things on my car ride to and from work. And I was scheduling phone calls. I was sending messages as I walked in between patients' rooms. Was it always easy? No, but I knew I needed to do those things because I had goals and I had dreams. And, life before joining, we were struggling. So I didn't want to look back and be like, oh, I'm just going back to that. It was like, no, I'm doing something about it. And so I know that's one of the first things that you're going to kind of mention, is just talking about, what does life look like now and what does life look like future wise, like having that vision of, okay, what's something. I always say you have to have skin in the game. You have to have something specific for you, because that's going to be the driver for you, right? So will you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, I can. And you guys, when Erin says like skin in the game, it has to be more than just the $100 that you invested or the $24 that you invested with this amazing deal. You guys got a killer discount. But having more, just like, gosh, I think truly it's like you have to do this, and there's no other option. So we did a book club, and the book is called Relentless by Tim Grover. And he was training some of the top athletes in the world. And he was working with Michael Jordan. And he said that his mindset of why he was so great all of the time, he didn't care about the work. He cared about the end result, okay? And so what we want you guys to do, and if you guys have a pen and paper, that's the best way to be able to do this, is a pen and a piece of paper. Go old school. If you have a tablet, if you have your notes on your phone, that's just as good. You have to be able to write these things down, because I don't know about you guys, I can talk all day about my dreams. I can talk all day about my goals, but if I am not writing it down, it'll change tomorrow. Drop a 1 in the comments if that is you, because that is me, and it is still me. And so that's why I've become so disciplined about, okay, what do I want? And when do I want it by? And so what did you join for today, like, or 3 weeks ago, or whenever you joined, what did you join for? Write it down. Okay. Write it down. And then realize that thing brings you stress, anxiety. It probably brings you sadness, because for me, living paycheck to paycheck, living in downtown Chicago in a 500 square foot apartment with no walls, and I was eating cereal for dinner, I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. Okay. You hear me when I say that? That is real. That was my life 2.5 years ago. Okay. So I want you guys to picture, with those things that are stressing you out right now, what does your life look like if those things went away? What are you doing? What are you feeling? Are you more happy? Are you stress-free? Are you not having to worry about having to pay your bills or your mortgage? Is your debt completely gone? Where now is that money going instead of being sucked into some bank somewhere, right? So I want you guys to really get almost like dream state like, and it sounds funny, you guys, and I used to be like, oh my God, I'm never going to do any of this is so silly, I feel so silly writing these things down. The reason we're telling you guys this is because it works. It freaking works. Okay. So why you joined, and then what does that look like if those things are gone? And really start to understand, okay, wow, my life can literally take a 180, because that's exactly what mine did. And so that's where comparing and contrasting is so important, because like Erin said, if you're joining this business and staying where you're at or moving backwards of where you don't want to be doesn't make any sense. Okay. So you constantly have to be focused on moving forward. So that's why that's super important.
Yes, I love it. Well, and two, think about it, from the perspective, like I'm going to give my example. Like I started because I thought it was $500 a month to help cover childcare. I didn't attach the feeling of like, hey, I was sick and tired of missing moments with my son. Hey, I was sick and tired of having fights and arguments with my husband. I was sick and tired of carrying that weight on my shoulders, already knowing, hey, I'm working 50 to 60 hours a week. Where could we even make extra money? And then the other thing was, okay, the only way as a nurse is I thought, hey, I'm going to have to go back to school and get my master's, but that meant more student loans, more time away from my family. So that's taking away from all the things that I'm trying to work towards. And so I had to really just sit down and put it in perspective and just say, okay, like all of those things and those feelings, I don't want them. So I'm willing to do whatever it's going to take to get to here. But I knew that I needed to say, okay, the extra money is nice. That's like the cherry on top, but it was all those other feelings that I was getting to address. And so then I started saying, okay, if I want to make $500 a month, I want it to happen by XYZ date, because I already knew I was doing these steps. And so if you have that specific goal, if you're like, I need $500 a month, you're going to pull out the Ruby chart and you're going to say, okay, my goal is Ruby. When do I need to complete this by? What is my goal? And you're just going to go after that goal. If you're saying, hey, I need $2,000 extra a month, you're going to get your diamond chart. And it may look scary and it may be like, oh my gosh, I promise you there's so much power in just already deciding and committing where you want to go. I always feel like sometimes if you don't know exactly where to start or begin, obviously this is a great time. If you're brand new, you can get with your enroller. But two, you have to kind of just decide, like, is it going to be Ruby? Like, what's that goal? What's that end game? And when do you need that to achieve that by? Because if you're putting that timeline on it, it's like, I swear something happens where God's just like, okay, they've decided to what's going to happen, and sometimes people are like, I haven't enrolled anybody. I'm like, well, what are you going towards? And if you don't know, why would he bless you with those people in your business if you don't know how you're going to help them throughout the process, right? And so there's so much power in that. So let's talk about, like what would be, ways in which people can write down goals, because I know we're kind of talking a little bit about timelines and stuff too that we mentioned. So do you have any tips as far as like, not only like you want to have business goals, but then also some personal goals attached to it as well? Brand new, it doesn't matter or not, like you want to start doing some things, right?
Yes. You guys, I still think sometimes I'm like, okay, I don't really know what the next 2 weeks is going to look like. My life is crazy. Like, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. The world we're living in is freaking insane. But you guys, if we stay laser focused on the things that we want and where we're going, we can just take one step a day. 1 step a day. And if you just keep on taking that 1 step, you will be that much closer to your goal. And so don't think that you have to go a million miles an hour just because you have big goals and you want to achieve them quickly. Great. Start running. Fantastic. But understand that if you slow down or you change direction, that's okay. But you have to then refocus and understand that, okay, my goals and my timeline look like this. And so what I like to do is I have kind of a game plan that I go with, and it might sound a little extreme, but you guys, like, I was listening to this podcast the other day, and they were saying that we underestimate what we can do in 6 months, and we overestimate what we can do in 5 to 10 years, because it's so easy to say in 10 years I'm going to have all of these things and it's going to be great and blah 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 blah. But and that's amazing, like, go for those 10-year goals, but then you have to work your way backward. Okay, so like, what are you going to do every day? What are you committing to? Okay, and are those things equaling the paycheck or the vacation or the debt or the things that you're going for? Are those actions going to pay you the way that you're working? Okay. And so I want you guys, say it is debt. Let's just go with that example. You have debt and you're like, okay, well, I want to pay off my debt. You have to know to the penny what your debt is. You have to understand it. You have to look at it every single day. I have my team, if they have debt, they write it down on a sticky note and they put it in on their bathroom mirror. Because if you don't see it every day, you're going to block it out because it's uncomfortable. You're like, oh, I'll pay off my debt one day. No, sister, you need to pay that off now, if that's the reason why you joined. And so having those numbers in front of you, having those things, those goals written out every single day, I say the bathroom because I'm in there every day. It can be on your coffee pot. It can be right before you walk out the door. You guys have to have those things no matter what it is. Nobody's goal is bigger than anybody else's. Your goal is your goal. And so if you have those sticky notes in front of you every day, you're going to be like, oh, I'm walking out the door. I'm about to go shopping at TJ Maxx. I'm probably going to spend $100. I better go message like 10 to 15 people about product, or 10 to 15 people. I need 10 hosts to post up today because I need to get a sale, or I need to get a fast start. Okay. So you guys have to have those things, and you have to be willing to get uncomfortable, because those things are already making you uncomfortable. The only way that they're going to go away is if you do something about it. And so having it in your face and having it just crystal clear of what's next is so, so important.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Okay, so I know too, and I saw this quote, and it may have been in a leadership page, I'm not sure, but drop a one if you're a mom or you have kids or you have a house and you have a place that you have to clean. How many times do we find ourselves, you're like, oh, I've got to clean today. And if you say today, right, everything happens, you're going to try and take like the entire day to do it. But if you're like, I've got 2 hours to just wipe this out, aren't you that much more likely to just go and knock it out and get it done? Like, there's so much that can happen. And so think of your goals the exact same way. Don't just say, okay, like she said a year, I'm going to give it a year, I'm just going to see what happens. It's like, no, get specific and say, okay, in two months, I want to be Ruby. I want to be making that 500 extra hours a month. Challenge yourself. Just say, hey, I want to do the things, because that's when you start putting those timelines on yourself, there's no reason. The end goal is the same, right? Ruby at 2 months or Ruby at a year. If you're saying, I'm going to see what happens in the year, or if you're saying, no, in 2 months, I want to be Ruby, the end goal is the same, right? But that 2-month timeline gives you a heck of a lot more months to be working on the next things, right? And it helps you start dreaming bigger. So it can help, start working on different goals and wanting to help more people. And so that's the cool thing about vision is, you choose your why and you decide, okay, why in the heck did I join? What's going to be that reason that pushes me out of bed every single day? What am I going to do every single day to work towards that goal? And then you've established the goal of where you want to what it is in that timeline, because you have to have something that you're going after. You guys have all committed to the business. You guys have committed because you're even on the Zoom or you're watching this recording. So it's so important to just know exactly where you're going. And is every single goal going to happen in the timeline? No. Okay. I'm just going to tell you, sometimes you knock it out of the park. Sometimes it's like, whatever, but you're one step closer. Okay. So I want you to make sure that you've gotten crystal clear on, I already know what I'm going to do every single day because I'm plugging into different things. I've got posting and I'm doing all the things, but you also have to know what are all those things going to add up, because what are you shooting for, right? Because you just don't want to be aimlessly working. You want to have some kind of reward at the end of the day. So that's going to be the big thing. And end goal for all of us is freedom, right? It doesn't matter how long it takes to cross the finish line. We all want freedom. And so, but it's really fun. And if you can set some timelines on what is that going to look like for you? What is the specifics? So Gabby, any other tips? Because I know, when I was like, hey, asking some vision stuff, because vision is kind of like a weird topic. People are like, what do you mean? Or, goal setting, we can only title it goal setting, it's different, but really you just have to get that perspective. So any tips for, these newbies or people that are watching that you just have on your heart that you want to share regarding vision? And also drop a 2. Hopefully this is all making sense, because we want to make sure, because I know, like I said, it seems like broad and kind of crazy, but you personally have to just decide and commit, right?
Yes. So my tip for you guys, I wish I learned, and this is a learning process, you guys, everything that you're doing is new. And so don't ever feel it's like, gosh, like, I don't even know how to dream yet. I don't even know what I would do with a $10,000 paycheck. Me and Aaron said the same thing. And then when we got our first income disclosure statement here, like our first 5-figure paychecks and our jaws hit the ground, it was like, oh my gosh, this is real. Like, this is real. And it's because we said we wanted it. Okay. So I challenge all of you guys, and how I dream, and this is going to sound so goofy, but I have this vision of the house that I want to build. Like, and I want to pay for my house in cash. Okay. So I have this vision. And so I literally would turn on like HGTV or these like Netflix shows and these houses on the beach. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is it. And I'll start writing down the details of what that looks like, what the floors are going to look like, what my view is going to look like, where am I going to be sipping my skinny brew coffee on my porch. And like, I know that's a big, massive dream, you guys. I'm only 26 years old. I'm single. The only thing that I have responsibility over now is a dog that I literally got a month ago. Okay. So I don't have kids. I don't have a significant other yet, but I am saying these big things that I want, I'm putting it down in granular detail. So even if it is, you guys, like your first goal is to take your family on vacation, plan it out in detail. What airline are you flying? What hotel are you staying at? Where are you going? What kind of dinners are you having? And you guys, that makes it so real, because our brain processes in pictures. And I don't know if y'all know that, but I didn't know that. Kelsey told me that. I was like, whoa, that's crazy. What do you mean? And if you think about it, the whole time we always think of things in pictures, right? And so if you have those pictures and you have those details ingrained in here, your fingers and your mind are going to go to your business, because you know that's how it's going to happen. Your 9-to-5 isn't going to fund a 1-week vacation to Disneyland, okay? This business can, and it can happen very quickly. So that is my tip for you guys. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to dream big and write down those things and get crystal clear, because if you see it, it will happen.
I love that. That was one of the best pieces of advice that I got, when I first started. And I've shared it on so many Zooms, but one lady had told me that when I met her at conference, she's like, the next time I see you, I mean, there was a whole long story before that, but she was like, next time I see you, you're going to be up on that stage on the white couch. And y'all, like I said, I joined this business for $500 a month. I ended up going diamond. And then I started catching the vision, thinking, wow, like people are actually making a career from this. And y'all, the next time I saw her was 2 years later at a conference, and I was hosting a panel at conference, sitting on the white couch. And so she saw that vision before I did, but she actually, since she told me that, I borrowed that belief and I was like, you know what, I'm going with it. But her biggest piece of advice was write as if life's already happening. So, when you're jotting things down, if you're talking about your goals and stuff, like Gabby talked about earlier, write the feelings. How is it going to feel? What's it going to smell like? What does life look like 3 months from now? What are you thankful for? Like putting all those things out, and it's just crazy what can happen. And I know that this can seem so far-fetched when you're first getting started, because this business is amazing in the fact that all of a sudden we get to be like little kids and dream again. But so many things can happen, right? So many things can come in, and this business can absolutely change your life if you let it. But you also have to know exactly what are you going after. And so this was awesome. I know we're hitting right at 30 minutes. But Gabby, you are amazing. And y'all, if you have questions or you have specifics, or you're like, I'm getting new, like what are good, don't hesitate to ask, because sometimes when you're first getting started, you're like, is this too crazy? Or like, what in the heck is going on? We are here to help you. So, make sure that tonight, when we hop off this, you're writing down some of those goals. You're writing down things that you want to accomplish in the next, by end of the month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, 5 years, and then start attaching those feelings and those beliefs with it. And I promise you something magical is going to happen. So we love you guys. There will not be another Newbie Power 30 this week, since we have summer camp on Thursday. So make sure you've gone and bought your tickets for that. But we will see you guys next week. And I appreciate you, Gabby. This was awesome. Bye, y'all.
Thanks, Erin. Bye, guys.